Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of OPP, Original Portrait Photographers. And today we're joined by a long-term SPAC vendor, Bob Winkler. Bob, how are you doing?
Hi, guys. How's it going? I'm doing very well.
Good, good. Well, we're excited to have you. We also got here my brother, TJ. How are you doing, T?
Good, man. Always good to be chatting with Bob.
Yeah. Are you in BC right now?
I am. I'm down the road from you.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah. And Bob,
And I'm just across the water from you.
Exactly. Yeah. We always joke that probably all three of us only see each other when we're in Las Vegas.
Yep. I've been to Artona's office twice in 35 years.
Really?
Yep.
Incredible.
We'll have to invite you in for another one then.
There you go. I'm good. I'm game anytime.
Yeah. So Bob, were you just coming off like playing Counter-Strike? You were like gaming there with your headphones?
No, that's just old school. That's how I can hear best,
Always got to rip like the guests that we have on here. Yeah. So we got a good hour. We'd love to chat with you, kind of talk about SPAC's 70th anniversary coming up. That's going to be in January 2025. We got like a lot of few little things like in store building up to that. You've been a vendor for a long time. I know we've talked once in a while, and maybe tell us like the story like of the first SPAC that you came to.
Sure. And to this day, I still don't know how I heard about SPAC, but somehow I did. I was with Pelican Software at the time, and I said, we need to go to SPAC. It's all school photographers. So I got somebody, I think it was Gary, to mail me an application, and that was it. I showed up. He mailed it. Yeah, it was actually came in the mail. And so I showed up with a check and my pop-up banner. They didn't know I was coming. There was no registration, no anything. There's about 75 people in the room, including the vendors, the staff, everybody. And I handed my check to Gary. He said, waved over the corner and said, go set up over there somewhere. No introduction, no nothing. I just put up my pop-up banner and stood there and talked to people.
I feel like you still got that same pop-up banner behind you right now.
Pretty much, just to say almost the same one. So it was at the Flamingo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was the first year they were at the Flamingo. I believe they were there 2 years. And it was a tiny little room just off the main hall. And we had a great time. And I've been to just about every one ever since.
I feel I don't think you've missed one. I think you've been like seasoned veteran the whole time.
Yeah, I haven't missed one. I've been to Palm Springs. I've been to the Bahia. I've been to all the places in Vegas. So yeah.
That's awesome. I remember the Flamingo. I think when the conference was there at one time, didn't they have the avian flu going around? And I remember like a bunch of stuff was like shut down.
There was a bunch of stuff over the years, different places, but I think food poisoning at the Riviera. But yeah, it was an interesting conference. It was all of the California guys at that point, with a few exceptions. Your dad was there, of course. Yeah, and he was one of the first people to befriend me at SPAC.
Really,
and we've had a great relationship. Look forward to seeing him every time I see him since, right?
Yeah.
And the first SPAC was the best one, and then they all got better.
Oh, that's awesome. Good to hear. Yeah. Good to hear. T, you got a question there?
No, I was just kind of saying like, that makes so much sense. Like they've just been so much fun over the years. And like you said, it's almost like become just such a normal recurring expectation that it's just going to be like better and better and better every year. And like, it really hasn't stopped being that. And the faces are just so recognizable and you just kind of know everyone and what they're about at this point.
TJ, I just want to say before we get too far into this, that the way I've been treated at SPAC for the last however many years has been the highlight of my life. I have met some of the best people ever, and lifelong friends, lifelong customers. Even though I'm not with anybody major right now, I still get calls from customers. How you doing? It's heartwarming. It just makes my life a lot easier.
Yeah, you bet.
It's a good community. Like even when like people from outside the industry like join in, they're like, my previous job, separate industry. They're like, we would never have anything like this.
Nope.
Like, people sharing ideas freely, competitors talking. It's like it's really different, like in our industry.
Yeah. And I want to share you a story about Calvin Harrell.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And this goes back to when Calvin had hair. So that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I believe we were at the Tropicana. And I was still with Pelican Software. And Calvin, standing there in the hallway, looked at me and said, I love your product. I don't understand how I can make money from it as a photographer. And so we talked a little bit more. And I came to the realization that led me to the pricing plan that's still in effect for all yearbook software today, is that you have to take it to the people that make the money. And that's the guys that print the yearbooks.
Yep.
So now they buy the licenses and they give them out and they get the product back. But that all stems from the mind of Calvin Harrell.
There you go.
Yeah. And I'll give him props for that every time. He was a great help to me, and he's been a friend almost from day one.
Yeah. And he's still trying to figure out how to make money too.
Well, and I love his dedication to his dad too. I got to tell you.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So,
he brings them everywhere, and basically like a huge part of the SPAC board too.
Yeah.
And
I mean, when I started, it was Gary and Calvin and Marty.
Yeah.
And, and then it's evolved over the years. You came in, Michael, and a few other people come in. But there's always been that consistent level of caring and listening that has made it really a good thing. I've watched it grow from, like I said, 75 or 80 people to what it is now, which is huge.
Yeah.
And, so, and the friends are the best part for me.
Yeah. Maybe let's talk about a few of the people.
Well, there was a man, and everybody listening to this will remember him. His name was Bill Strain. And Bill never, ever passed somebody without trying to help them.
Yeah.
Period. Every time he opened his mouth, he was trying to help. He would share anything and everything with everybody. And him and I we grew to be extraordinarily close. We were like brothers. As a matter of fact, when he died, his wife said to me, she said, Bob, Bill could go a year without seeing you, and the minute you were together, you were like brothers.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I felt as well. He did some amazing things for some amazing people. We got into trouble a few times, but that's SPAC, right?
Yeah.
And got thrown out of the Venetian one night. I won't give you the gory details on that, but it was a bunch of SPAC photographers, and we all got thrown out of the Venetian out of a private room. But anyway, it was fun. And I mean, when he died, it was a huge loss. I couldn't believe the number of people that reached out to me. Ed Yeskus called me. Bill was working for Ed at the time.
Yeah.
When the morning he passed, Ed called me, and I was driving down the highway. And all he said was, Bob, it's Bill. And I had to pull over because I was bawling my eyes out on the side of the highway.
Yeah.
But we got through it all, and that was right through COVID. So I couldn't go to the funeral or anything, but it was all good. I mean, there's so many other people. I don't want to get into naming everybody because I'll forget somebody for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's been other great guys to come and go out of the business. There's also been, and you guys have seen this, I'll bet you there's been 20 different yearbook software companies come and go in the years I've been doing it.
Yeah.
I remember some years it'd be 4 or 5 or 6 yearbook software companies. Next year we'll be back to 1 or 2, right? So it just keeps going. But I have fun with it. I'll tell you a story about probably the funniest thing that ever happened to me at SPAC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I downloaded an app for my phone. My hearing was getting a little shaky, so I downloaded an app to my phone that flashed every time I got a text message. Right, and I put my phone upside down on the table, and I could see it flashing. Well, one point in time, I had to go to the bathroom. So I'm standing in the bathroom, and I'm reading a text message while I'm at the urinal. and somebody sent me a text message, and it flashed, and there was a guy standing right next to me, and he froze, and his eyes got really big, and he's looking over. He actually stopped midstream and moved down the whole urinal to get away from me. He thought I was taking pictures of myself. Yeah. So I got a bit of mileage out of that, you know. And,
Yeah.
You know, but yeah. So again, fun stuff.
Yeah, that was a real good one. Yeah, I remember when it happened. You told me, and I felt like we had to put like a sign up that was like no photography in the bathroom.
No photography in the bathroom. Exactly. Yeah, no, that was fun stuff. But no, and you know the vendors. I mean, Andy Gould has been coming for a million years.
Yeah.
You know, I remember Pat Cahill was always there till he retired. You know, and you know all the big labs and everything that are there year after year. Great sponsors, great supporters. You know, more lately, it's been people like Mike Limbach, Studio Source. I'm talking from the yearbook side, of course, because that's what I know.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you know, the meetings. You know, my friend Dennis Lange and I still exchange jokes almost daily.
Yeah.
And that stems from SPAC, right? And getting to know him. And you know, I don't know where you guys are going to go with this. I don't know how big it's going to get, but I hope I'm around to see it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think, you know, every year if we could just grow it, you know, bring more people in, you know, give more access to education, you know, obviously growing the vendor side. You know, the way we look at it is, you know, the better that we can support the industry, the better that everyone will do. So that's kind of like the common goal is just to keep growing it. You know, and just year after year.
And don't take Bill Strain and Stephen Mullally down to Fremont Street ever.
Talking about Bill Strain, and you said that, like, you know, he wouldn't walk by anyone without helping him. They developed like years ago some barcode stuff or on hardware on like a Raspberry Pi, and I remember looking at it and I said, hey, this is like pretty cool, but like for what we need, I kind of need it this way. And yeah, he went out of his way, and they developed with some other people what it was, and we actually ended up purchasing it to do like school day scanning, and it wasn't like, you know, in their vision to build it that way, but he saw like that there was a need for it and totally, you know, modified the software for what we needed. So we're very, very thankful for him.
That was Bill. I brought Bill up to Toronto one time for the Canadian Print Show.
Oh yeah,
it was when I was with Lumifix, and I brought him up just to work the booth and show and be an industry expert for the printers there. And first day of the show was over, and we decided to go to a brew pub. Well, Bill being down to earth, Bill, he sort of walks in, and it's a real fancy place, and best one in Toronto. Somebody had told me, so it was all copper, and this pretty young girl comes over and gives us the whole spiel, right from how it was created and what kind of beers they had, everything. And he waited till she was finished. And he looked at her and says, "I'll have a Bud Light." That was Bill. That was just perfect Bill. You know, so
Yeah, he had a great sense of humor.
He did. He had a great sense of humor.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you remember the time, like, I think, you know, like TJ and I and like a whole bunch of people, we went out one night, and I don't know, we were out pretty late, and you were like waking up to get your coffee in the morning, walking through the casino. And T, do you remember you did the somersault?
I remember. TJ came walking up to me. The four of you. It was TJ, you, somebody else, and Amanda was there.
Yeah,
your sister, right? And TJ walked up, did a perfect shoulder roll on the carpet in the Riviera, popped up, never spilled a drop of his drink, shook my hand and said, "Mr. Winkler, how are you?"
And then went to bed while you were getting up to.
I was just looking for a blackjack table, have my morning coffee, and you know. No, that was great. I remember going to your dad's place in Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if that was SPAC related, but it was a lot of fun. I don't remember.
I think it was. There was a conference that was in Phoenix. I think it was like PPA maybe, and then we were kind of
PMA, PPA, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think we did a barbecue there.
Yep, that's right. Yep, and there was a couple of groups there, the ASPC or ASPA or whatever
APSP.
they're. APSP. That's there.
Yeah,
Too many letters for me.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know how
yeah.
you guys keep up with all of them.
Well, I don't. I just,
Yeah.
as you can tell,
Yeah.
But yeah, I was in Bahia in the rainstorm. That was probably before your guys' time, and we were
I was at
standing
that
on.
one. Yep.
Were you? We were
Yeah, that
standing
was
on.
in San Diego.
Yeah, in San Diego. That's right. And it was pouring rain. There's water. We're in a tent. SPAC was in a tent at the Bahia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were standing on pallets, and water was just running through the bottom of the trade show, and everybody lifted everything up on the pallets, and there was wires dangling, and it was quite something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that was the show where Gary Krantz rolled up in his Ferrari and parked right in the handicap spot.
Yeah.
And then guys are like, "What are you doing?" And he got out of his car and he says, "Don't worry, I got a handicap pass." And he threw it right on the dash there.
Yeah. No, I remember going to Gary's place in Santa Rosa. It was Santa something anyway. And he had all the Ferrari collection in the back.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. He had a nice operation.
Yeah. He was another guy like open door, right? Like if you needed help, if you're in the area, come on through. He'd take the time to show you around, show the production, and of course, like show like the fun side, right? His warehouse there.
Yeah. I remember being impressed by the whole thing, even the room up top that was only accessible by staircase.
Yeah.
Where the lady sat and opened they just did nothing all day but sit and open bags of money, envelopes of money, and counting them. And during the season, the Briggs truck would come twice a day to pull all the cash away from his operation.
Mm-hmm.
That impressed me. Money's always impressed me a little bit, but yeah. So man, so many memories and so many things.
Yeah.
Wow.
Talking about Gary, he, a few times showed us the cars and everything, and he said like, these are my trophies. He's just like, if I have a good year, like, no one's giving me an award. This is my trophy. He goes, this is what I'm doing to recognize it. So yeah, that was like kind of his thing, and of course he enjoyed the hobby and everything else.
Hey, Michael, that's exactly how I feel about my life here on Vancouver Island.
Yeah.
I get off the plane coming home, I close the door behind me, and this is my reward, right?
Yeah.
Get away from all the hustle and bustle and just hang out on the island, do fishing, and do whatever I do.
Yeah.
So, and none of it would be possible without the years in the volume photo industry.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's been an amazing thing.
So for I guess for everyone listening, where you're located is we're in Vancouver. You're on Vancouver Island, which is about, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hour ferry ride or a seaplane ride.
12 minutes by seaplane. Yeah.
How many minutes?
12.
That's it. Hey, wow, fast.
Yeah.
And you're in Nanaimo, which is like north of Victoria, about 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's about a little over an hour.
A little over an hour, yeah.
A little over an hour north, yeah.
I was quoting Ferrari time, but I mean,
there you go.
Your minivan is probably an hour and a bit.
My I don't drive a minivan. No, I'm a truck guy. I use it to go fishing, do whatever, right? But,
but you're in an amazing spot of BC.
Yeah, it's
trucks and sailboats. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, I sold my boat. Last year. I really miss it, but.
So you get one back, maybe?
Maybe. We'll see what happens. I'm pretty busy these days.
Yeah.
But look, life is good. I'm not complaining.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Talking about planes, I think that's where the second place that we see the most is the airport, right? On the way to SPAC or other trade shows back in the day, because you got to fly over to Vancouver, then you got to make your way to YVR, the airport. And then usually, like most of the time, we're on the same flight, coincidentally.
Yeah, exactly.
And remember there was a flight where you were in the front and I was at the very back, like basically beside the bathroom. And our flight was delayed because like the guy 2 up from me, like puked all over himself.
Yeah.
And then I was messaging Bob. I was like, "Don't come back here. It's like a war zone." Yeah.
Do you remember what year that was?
No.
That was January 2020.
Oh, was that? Do you think that was COVID?
I'm almost positive. There was when I got on my little flight from off of that. I changed over to a small flight to Vancouver Island, and there was a guy there thrown up and sick as a dog. All over. Yep. And then a week later,
they had to wheelchair him out. Like
they had to wheelchair him out. He was really sick. Yep.
Huh.
Yeah. Those are scary days.
I had to go to. Was that going to SPAC or coming home from it?
That was coming home from SPAC.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, those for sure. Then.
Yeah.
I just thought the guy had a good time in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. But I think he was a little. I think it was a little more than that.
Yeah.
My best flight ever to SPAC, you weren't on it, was Alaska Airlines out of Vancouver. And I got on, and two guys got on next, sat right across from me. And they told the flight attendant, we need a cup each. We need a cup with Coke and a cup with ice, right? Each. So she did that. She knew what they were up to, but she did that anyway. And then they looked over at me and said, "Oh yeah, do the same thing for him." We drank Crown and Coke all the way to Vegas. We could hardly walk off the plane. We had a great time. Yeah. But,
and you didn't know the guys. They just
guys, Canadian guys going to Vegas, you know.
Yeah.
You know how it is, right? It's just
good way to warm up, right?
A good way to warm up. Get off the plane, you can't walk, you know you're in Vegas. Yeah. So I mean, you guys both fly a lot. What was your worst flight ever?
Probably leaving Vegas.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. There was one. I mean, I probably got two. Like, T, remember? Like, I got super sick like at the last day in SPAC, and then like I couldn't even like walk, and TJ had to like handle me all the way to the airport, and just like I was like sleeping on my luggage. It was bad. Yeah. Remember? Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
And my second was like just recent. We had a SPAC. We went to a conference in Europe there, and I got off the plane and I couldn't find my passport, and I was stuck in Paris. I had no passport. I couldn't even leave the airport. Yeah, I left it on the plane. It must have fallen out when I pulled up my computer or something. So, anyways, they found it, but kind of lost a day there. So, yeah,
that sucks. That's pretty bad.
Yeah. What about you, T? What's your worst flight?
Oh, I think like leaving Vegas, it was a different one. I forget. We were at the end of the conference, and then Dad wanted to put us on this next flight because he got like a free travel voucher, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll take the extra $100 or whatever." So we went. It was like midnight. I think it was pretty late. We're like, "Let's just go back into Vegas," and it was a good idea at the time. It was like 11:30 midnight. So we went back in and did our thing until about 4 a.m. And then just even walking down to the terminal, almost falling asleep, like just steps away from the plane. But it was the best and the worst, I guess, at the same time. But such as Las Vegas. But the cities become more and more like you kind of have this relationship with it now, where we know it as kids, we know it as like young adults. And then now we couldn't have it, like you said, those couple of years, and now it's back, and it's just getting more and more fun. And it's evolving with us. We've gone from, like you said, the Riviera now into what we're doing lately. The show's just grown. It's positive, and there's just so many good memories, right? Like it's almost impossible to do it in the 2 to 3 days now. Like you need more time to get there, settle in, say hello to all the old favorites, and then there's so many new people now, right?
It's a full week now.
Oh, yeah.
It's a full week. As a vendor, it's a full week. You got to go, like you said, a couple of days early. You know, you got meetings, you got setup and everything else. And then, I remember coming back from Vegas from SPAC on a Sunday, going to the Alaska Airlines counter, and the lady says, "Mr. Winkler," says, "we're overbooked on this flight." She says, "What I'd like to offer you is a free voucher, return trip anywhere Alaska Airlines flies, a night at the coast at the Orleans Hotel, and $100 for money for food." Mm-hmm. Took me about a tenth of a second to say yes. Yeah. Right. I mean, really? I'm just, I used that to take my wife to Mexico a few weeks later. But yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That week in Vegas, it's hard on the body. Like, wow. It really is. It's Yeah, you're like you said, you're going like you're trying to see everybody, you're trying to meet up, you're going to dinners, you're trying to catch a drink with everyone, you're trying to meet like new people. Yeah, it's
it's not
like
like what it
drinking
used
in the
to be.
playoffs.
Like, yeah, it used to be like a 3-day thing for us, and now it's turned into this. It's minimum 6 to 7 days plus the bumper on the end, knowing that you're gonna have to you have to write everything down.
And then all the work after that as well, following up
when
with
you get
leads
back,
and getting everything.
Everyone thinks we're just literally partying for a week, but you're.
Well, we are. Don't lie. We are.
100%.
But we're also working.
I was trying to set the stage for all of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't think I don't think my life would be right without it.
There you go.
Yeah. And
adding to TJ's story, I remember that one. We actually our flight. We were doing like a red eye. We were going to Miami. We're actually going to see Foxmar. Ira, Mark, and Brian there, and it was like 12, and I think we'd get in like 7 a.m. And so they needed 3 seats, and we were traveling with our dad, and the money just kept going up. And I remember like Ira being like, "Wait till it gets to like 750, and then you 3 just be like, we'll take it, right? 750 times 3, right, as a voucher." So we did that, like waited for it to go up, and then they're like, "Okay, next flight's I don't know, like 5 a.m. Be back here at 4." And T, you knew some people down there, obviously, and I think it was like a birthday. So we went back to that. Dad went back and hung out, drank whatever it was, and then we came back, and then like you said, we were just like dead, like just getting on that flight, like couldn't wait to sleep, but good sleep on that red eye.
Yeah.
And then we had those $750 vouchers. We go to use it. We're like, "Dad, where are they?" And he lost them. He couldn't find them.
Oh no.
Yeah. So we got a good story and no money.
No money.
Yeah.
Oh, there's just so many stories now. Like you said, though, it's dizzying and it's almost overwhelming. Like the amount of fun stuff that we've done over the years with all the amazing people, and it's just always been evolving and getting better.
Yeah.
Do you guys? Did you guys go on the fishing trip out of San Diego?
No.
I think Photo Links put it on years ago.
No.
We got on this boat. There was probably 35 or 40 of us, and we go way out past the 3-mile limit, do fishing for bottom fish.
Nice.
And it was a lot of fun. We saw whales. We saw the Marine helicopter that's stationed 200 feet off the water, pointing at Mexico with radar, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Border Patrol.
Well, it's just hovering up there, just waiting.
Hovering. And as we're going out, we said this other helicopter come out over top, around underneath, and the other one drifted out, so there was continuous coverage. It was pretty impressive to watch.
Wow.
Yeah,
we don't get a lot of
having ridden a lot of helicopters back in my days doing logging industry sales, I knew how much that cost, and that was pretty impressive too. But that was a lot of fun. We caught some fish and drank some beer, and got to see the ocean. It was good.
Yeah, I think helicopter burns like $1,000 of fuel an hour, right?
The big one's more than that, but it's crazy. I used to ride helicopters all the time up and down the coast of British Columbia, and then one day somebody called me and said, "I want to sell some yearbook software." So that's how I got into business. Was he called me, saw me, and offered me a job selling yearbook software, and all I could think of was, no more little planes and little helicopters into bush camps. Now I'm going to Vegas, and okay, I'm in. Yeah.
That's the inception story. I didn't even know about that. I was hoping that you would touch on it, like how it all started then from a logging career.
Yeah, I used to sell handheld data collectors to the forest industry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and all up and down the coast from Stewart up by the Alaska Panhandle all the way into Cranbrook, everywhere on the coast, and even up into northern Alberta. I did that for 4 or 5 years, and a lot of flying small planes into logging camps, and I can tell you some horror stories about that too. But, I got one story. I got on a plane in Prince Rupert, and it was a small local run airline, and we take off. The weather's bad, right? And the guy, I'm sitting up front with the pilot, it's just me and him. I got the headphones on, so I said, so how's it going? He says, well, I don't know. He says, I think the weather's pretty bad. And I said, you don't know? He says, I guess I should have checked, but the radio doesn't work very well anyway, so I just thought we'd go, right? Well, we knuckled it all the way to our destination, like literally flying through the fog. I had my hands up on the dash of the airplane. It was a little beaver, and left marks, permanent marks in there. And we'd be flying along, and he'd see trees, and he'd go sideways and up and around them. We never went more than 50 feet above the water through the island. And it was just, that was when I was about ready to get out.
Yeah.
You know, so when this came up, when Pelican Software offered me the job, and I mean, when I started with Pelican, guys, they only had 2 customers.
Really?
Right. Yep. And my very first call, I'll tell you, my very first call in the business was to Ed Keskus.
No way.
Really?
And Ed said to me, he said, it must be a long way from Grand Rapids, Michigan to Nanaimo, BC. And I said, why is that? And he says, well, because your guys called me about 6 months ago and never heard from them again. And this was my very first call. I knew nothing about what I was doing, right? I was just going, yeah. And I said, okay. And you know, Ed, I mean, I love Ed.
Yeah.
He's very gruff and to the point, and that's how it should be. And you know, so he schooled me and educated me and mentored me a little bit on it.
Yeah.
And then we just kept going from there. And I went from Pelican. I outgrew them when they decided not to develop the software anymore. I moved on to Lumapix, and you know, that just went until it didn't go, and then I moved over to PlickBooks, and now I'm sort of independent. But well, we'll be doing something.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's amazing that, like, you know, you've stayed in the same industry, the same type of software the whole time, kind of like a industry expert, right? And just always, you know, improving the software, whatever it is, and retaining clients and moving on.
The thing I'm most proud of is the number of clients I have that call me and say, what should I do? Or that call me and say, what are you doing now? Where should I be going? And they followed me from product. I have clients that call me from Pelican to Lumapix to PlickBooks, right? And I'm very proud of that. And I mean, I consider Dave Bell just said, you're a lifelong friend.
Yeah.
You know, and I value that more than anything. I mean, that's everything. But yeah,
it goes back to those friendships and all those like crazy expeditions that we always have every year. It's what builds it, right?
Well, I remember going to see a guy by the name of Larry Fox. I don't know if you remember Larry Fox.
Oh,
yeah.
Out of Virginia, right? West Virginia.
Out of West Virginia.
Yep.
And it started off, I was on a plane from Dallas to Charleston, West Virginia, United Express. And we're coming in on final approach in a thunderstorm. There's lightning and crashing, and you know, and of course that, I don't know if you've ever flown into Charleston, but it's up in the mountains and there's no way out, right? Mm-hmm. So we're coming in and we're bouncing around, and I'm sitting in the very front row. I had my upgrade, and the flight attendant was probably middle-aged, been doing it for a long time. I've been chatting with her here and there, and she turned around to strap herself into the jump seat, and she had rivers of sweat running down her face. And I looked at her and I said, are we in trouble? And she said, you have no idea. And I just shut up, right? And we hit the runway so hard that we bounced up probably 50, 60 feet in the air, went sideways, went back down again. They literally had to tow that plane off the runway. We crashed on the runway. Every piece of luggage was bent and busted. And that was my start of the trip to Larry, right? So then I rented a car, and I'm driving down to the small highways. They're major highways, but small highways in West Virginia. And all of a sudden, I get lit up. This West Virginia state trooper coming the other way, does the e-brake turn, right? And he comes up behind me and he stops me and says, license or registration? I said, handed it to him, and he says, British Columbia. He says, what you all doing down here? And I said, well, I got a friend and customer down the next town, and I'm going to see him. He said, who's that? And this is a true story, guys. I said, who's that? And I said, his name's Larry Fox. And the guy goes, Larry Fox? I go squirrel hunting with Larry Fox. I'm starting looking around for the cameras, like, what right? But it was a true story. He knew Larry, went squirrel hunt. Who goes squirrel hunting? But anyway,
Yeah, that's the real question.
Squirrel hunting, yeah.
I mean, really? But so I get down, we go for lunch. I get there. It's late in the morning. I get there, and we're going to go for lunch. I'm sitting there telling Larry the story. He goes, "Oh, that's so and so." He says, "I knew his daddy too. We always went squirrel hunting." Only in West Virginia.
Yeah, that's the other good thing. You get to experience so many different cultures and people, and everyone brings you in like family.
It's absolutely amazing to me.
Right? Yeah.
And the differences in different parts of the U.S. is absolutely, it's been a stunning
realization.
Education. It really has, and
every area is so different.
Yeah. So I sat down to do one of those Facebook quizzes one time about how many states you've been to.
Yeah. Would you get
49?
Really?
I've never been to South Dakota.
Really?
One of these days,
we gotta find you a guy that needs yearbook software in South Dakota.
In South Dakota, I know. I have to go to South Dakota. But I've been to everyone and loved them all. But back to Bill Strain for a second. I met Bill Strain for a show in Washington, National Harbor in Washington. And I picked him up at the airport and we're driving around. He'd never been to DC before. So here I am showing him the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument and all this stuff. And I said, "Bill, you realize how ironic this is?
Yeah.
That some Canadian guy is teaching you about your national capital, right?" He says, I get it, Bob. I get it.
While he's drinking his Bud Light.
While he's drinking his Bud Light. That's exactly. Well, we went and had a Bud Light, but yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Talking about Larry Fox, we hung out with him for a while there, and he used to be a firefighter. And
he was.
The stories he told us about that, and how he was doing football magazines, kind of like off his Heidelberg there, and just like crazy stuff that he was doing, kind of like part time, right? Like school photos and yearbooks was his part time job.
I don't think it is anymore. I think he does it pretty much full time now. But he had quite the operation in Hinton.
Yeah. We loved his ponytail.
He loved his ponytail.
Yeah.
And his wife Kathy, she was a nice lady too.
Yeah.
Heavily involved in the business,
right?
But and he had an interesting crew. They were all crazy. But which is good. I remember an APSP meeting in Vancouver. It was actually at your house. And I brought a bunch of them over for a Pelican software conference. And Larry came over with one of his graphic designers, and we're driving up through Nanaimo, and we passed the Globe Hotel, which was one of the local strip bars back in the day, and it said bar and grill, or bar and grill, sorry. And this guy, his name was Thomas, and he looked at it and said, "Did that really say bar and grills?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Really? How far is that from the hotel?" We never saw him again. He spent his whole time at the Globe Hotel.
I thought you were going to say you guys were driving and he was like looking out for squirrels or something.
Well, no, I was going to warn him about the squirrels, but anyway, no, that was a good. We took them all fishing. I helped Chris Wonder catch his very first salmon on the water.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, we were fishing out of Port Alberni on the other side of the island there.
No way.
Chris, he was jumping up and down. He had a great time.
Yeah. Actually, I remember that. We hosted the meeting and we rented a bus. Remember, we were going up and remember, T, we had the boozer cruiser. So we had like a van just full of drinks that was following. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Guys would get out of the bus and they would just grab a drink and we'd walk around, wherever we were and have it from there.
And that was a fantastic meal that your dad, that you guys put on.
Oh,
at the Chinese restaurant there.
Oh, yeah. We did like a 10-course Chinese meal.
Yeah.
Kind of similar, right? Like when we go and see all these guys, they show us kind of where they grew up and like what they're all about. So every time it's the same recipe for us. Bring them to kind of our local spots, show them like what we know, introduce them to the city.
Yeah.
I know exactly where we went.
Yeah. Actually, on that trip, talking about the boozer cruiser, the truck, Remember John Hicks? He was just like, guys, I don't want to keep getting in and out of the bus. So he just sat in the back of the van and just drank on the floor.
that sounds exactly like John. Another one of the great guys of the industry.
Talk about another guy, you know, that's sadly gone now. But John Hicks.
Yeah.
I remember going to his lab in Flint and feeling like I needed cover fire to make it from the car into the lab. It was a bad neighborhood. But they were such good. John and Robin were just such great people.
Right?
Yeah.
You just you get to see like how these people are, like how they operate, what values they have, and just at the end of the day, though, there's so many common threads, and they're just the best people to be working with and amongst.
I remember years ago going to see Tom Wenzel. In Huntington, Texas.
Yeah, Tom from Texas.
And he took me on a tour of his plant. It was all shut down. And it would be like we walk into the room, you flick on the lights. This is where we mix the chemicals. Turn out the lights, walk in the next room. This is where we develop the film. This is where the light tables where the ladies would take all the photos and put them on lay them out for the yearbook panel pages, right? All the way through the whole operation. One little old, really beat up old Heidelberg press at the back. None of it was working anymore. We got back in the front and you had two little Naritsu printers that this is where we do it all now.
Wow.
Right. And it was just such a lesson in how far the industry's changed, you know. And and I remember guys when I first started telling me, oh, when this digital craze is over, I'll go back to building a big lab and we'll get back to doing it right, you know. And of course that never happened, but it never was going to happen. With all technology, it just keeps getting better and better and better.
And it just keeps evolving.
It always. And to be honest, it gets harder sometimes to do the evolving. I'm 71 now. I'll be 72 in a month, and it gets harder to keep up. But I'm still managing.
Still
in there. I'm still in there.
So you went your first SPAC at 2 years old, is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. And if anybody out there can remember when that first year at the Flamingo was, what year that was, that would be awesome to know, because I can't, that they after a while they all kind of run together, but I would love to know what year that was.
Yeah, we're definitely starting to reach out to people for like some history, some obviously pictures and stuff like that. So maybe we'll do something where we can find some just like memorabilia and like old flyers and stuff like that.
Talk to our mutual friend Andy Gould.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, Andy will. Remember, he used to do all the panoramas at SPAC. And I'm sure he still has those.
We're thinking of doing one again this year for the 70th.
Yeah, awesome. I think that'd be a great thing to do.
Yeah. It'll take him about 2 days to build the risers for it. That's how many people we're probably going to have.
Yeah, exactly, right? But, well, it's hard to put 1,000 people on 2 risers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No.
Going back from Tom Wenzel, one of my favorite stories of him. I mean, he was always hilarious, right?
I love Tom.
Meetings, super hilarious. But we were in a meeting, and I guess he left his ringer on his phone, but it was the Tarzan noise. So like in the middle of the meeting, like full blast, like Tarzan yell, like just,
Yeah.
TJ and I always say that there's like so many characters, right? Like
so many characters. I mean, everybody from Wayne Barksdale.
Yeah,
I've been to see Wayne Barksdale half a dozen times, and he's always been very gracious, taking me through his plant, and always happy to see me, and I'm very happy to see him. They've been customers of all 3 of my products, and he's an upstanding character in the business. Ed Geskis. Brian Fox. Brian always goes out of his way to Ken Strawbridge. Ken always goes out of his way to say hi to me. And I've been to his operation a few times. The first time I ever went there was with Pelican Software, and they sat me in a room with probably 25 people around me in a circle. I was in the middle, and they grilled me. They just grilled me. right? And at the end of it, they took me to lunch and treated me all well and bought a bunch of software. But it was fun. And
Yeah,
Neil
they put you in the hot
Lester,
seat there.
and somebody else took me to a Durham Bulls game.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then the next time I went with one of the programmers from Pelican, and we were at the same Durham Bulls game, except it started to rain, and everybody got up and moved under the stands, and except for a couple other guys that were about 6 rows away from us. And I yelled down at him and says, "How come you're not up under there?" And the guy looked at me and says, "Because we're from Surrey." We're Canadians. We know what the rain is. We don't.
Yeah. Talk about rain. It's raining here today.
Was it?
Yeah.
Nice this morning. Nice here in the island this morning, but
that could change today, and then nice for the next 5 days. But we've had some rain. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. We. I want to say hi to Cliff Smith if he's watching. Another great friend over the years. He's been a big supporter of mine and just a great guy. We've had some great meals. Guys know Cliff?
Yeah.
Cliff
What's
Smith,
he up to now?
He retired.
Okay.
He sold to Mike Norkin.
Oh, okay.
Mike Norkin brought his operation, and now he's just retired. He lives in Orange County somewhere, and I go see him when I run down there.
Who has Mike Norkin not bought?
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. But, he's done really well. It's great to see the guys that do well too.
You bet.
Right?
It's
You
fun to
learn
watch.
so much from them, both personally and business wise. And it's you see a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
In the companies that have done well and the guys that struggle. So but it's fun to watch. I've quite literally been to, I would say, almost every one of the large companies, all the way from Interstate all the way down to Cliff Smith, who was never all that big in the yearbook business, but had a good business, but just not that many yearbooks. It's been awesome.
Yeah. TJ and I, we love lab tours. Like, going to their office, just hanging out, seeing what they're doing. Like, really fun.
H&H, great lab tour.
Yeah.
David does a good job on all that. David Drum. It's just all of them. Brian Foster, up in Pennsylvania. Everybody thinks Brian's a small guy, but he's grown so much. He just flies under the radar, and he does the whole thing from photography to yearbook publishing.
Yeah.
And does
Not
a great
anymore.
job.
You exposed him.
Sorry, Brian. But he's just he's had such steady growth over the years, and Marathon, same thing.
Yeah,
great guys. Excuse me, I need to take a drink. I've been talking a lot.
Yeah. Don't worry, I've been drinking coffee the whole time. Yeah. Well, I mean, Bob, I feel like, the amount of stories that we shared within the last 50 minutes has been amazing. If you got any other ones, we can wrap it up. Or T, if you got any other questions.
Not really. Like you said, man, there's how can we really unpack 20, 30 years of these just epic friendships and classic stories and life lessons, business lessons. It's just an evolving thing to be part of, right?
Absolutely. I'll leave you with one.
Please.
Yeah.
Okay. Pensacola, Florida. Okay. APSP meeting.
Yep.
And it was a great meeting. We're out on the outer islands, beautiful and everything. And the night before I'm going to bed, I hear there's a tropical storm coming. So I wait for the day that all the day that the APSP meeting's over. I'd already planned to stay a day, and I should have gone. But anyway, they're nailing up plywood and doing all this stuff. And I go, oh God, okay. So my flight's early the next morning, so I'm driving in from the outer islands, and it's raining really hard, so hard that I'm doing 5 miles an hour on the interstate, and I'm freaking out because I'm going to miss my plane. And then I realized, Bob, you're an idiot. There ain't no planes flying in this. Right? So coming home, I flew from Pensacola. They had to reroute me. I flew from Pensacola to Charlotte, to to Washington, D.C., to Chicago, to Calgary, to Vancouver, to Nanaimo, all in one day.
Wow.
Just to get home, right? And it was brutal. It
Wow.
was brutal. But
that meeting was at the Stones.
Sorry?
The Stones, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was the Stones.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're staying in a hotel right out on the second beach there in the second islands. And it was great. I mean, I always liked doing the APSP meetings. They were fun.
Yeah.
But and they had the best bar in Pensacola. It's gone now, but it was called Crabs. We got them. Right? And they had their happy hour special was oysters, 25 cents, any way you wanted them, as many as you wanted them. Oh, I ate a lot of oysters. But they had the best bar, and I'm a bar guy, so I like this, but it was a saltwater aquarium. So when you're sitting at the bar and you look down at your drink, there's fish swimming by right there. The whole thing was a saltwater aquarium.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, it was. It got washed out in one of the storms, and they never rebuilt it. But
at least the fish survived.
Maybe when you retire, you'll build a bar like that in Nanaimo.
There we go.
When I retire, I'm just gonna go fishing. That's all.
Yeah. Well, Bob,
anyway,
we like really appreciate you coming on. We appreciate what you've done for like the industry.
You're a legend, buddy.
Appreciate your friendship. Like you're always in a great mood. I mean, it's always good running into you at the shows.
Listen, I always look forward to seeing you guys and your dad. I love your dad too, and and your whole family. I mean, I don't see Amanda or your mom that much, but and Calvin and Corey and all the other people at SPAC. I will be at SPAC this year, no matter what.
Sweet.
Yep.
Okay.
For sure.
Even if it's just to say goodbye, if I decide to retire, I don't know what I'm doing yet. So
we'll
either
see
way
what happens.
Up. But I've already made my reservation, so I'm going.
There you go.
And I really do appreciate the opportunity for this. And guys, we'll see you in January.
You bet, buddy.
We'll see you there.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks
All right,
again,
thanks,
Bob.
Thank you, guys.
See you later.
Later.
Bye.